What's up, y'all? Y'all ready? Hey, this was it felt like a very long episode. So I hope the water fountain in the back isn't so loud that it's drowning me out. But that's why I kind of connect with the headphones on the laptop. But let's just get right into it, man. So you got this ridiculous A-Train puppet, and Ryan asked him why he was sad. And the first thing that popped into my mind is, oh, A-Train is gonna die. And I only thought that because if you think about the show, they've never showed any interaction between Ryan and A-Train, not even one time. So the very fact that A-Train was sad in puppet form and Ryan wanted to know why, I thought that was foreshadowing. But I was off, you know. A-Train definitely didn't die. He definitely did some heroic stuff this episode. But yeah, the puppets are hilarious, and just the bogus way they singing songs about how you gotta turn on your family if they don't serve the interests of Vought and the Seven. So my Wednesday woman crush, my everyday crush, Sage, when she walked into the room, I just felt so sad because, you know, I just love her chocolate face and her natural locks. And when I saw that she looked sad, I kind of like that vulnerability because she's usually always so sure of herself and so cocky. But she knew something was off. She was like, hold on. You guys said the meeting was at 11. It's like, oh yeah, we started early. You know. And she was just getting curved. She was getting curved hard by Firecracker and Homelander. And even though she's the smartest person in the world, she clearly understood that she had dropped down on the totem pole. And it was pretty clear after Homelander said, Firecracker and I have been talking. And she was like, oh, I bet you that was riveting. And he just looked at her. She said, I'm sorry. Smartest person in the world or not, I have, you know, I guess I was going to say I have average intelligence, but that wouldn't be telling the truth. But, hey, I didn't get admitted to Harvard, so obviously I'm not in the top 10% or whatever. But I'm going to just say dumb me. I'm going to call myself dumb me. Even dumb me knows that once Homelander starts talking to you like that, you either finna get killed or fired. And I think she knew at that moment that her days in the Seven, or her hours or minutes in the Seven, was coming to an end. She could feel it. Especially when he said, so what happens when that genius brains of yours get shot in the head and you just mumbling Gerbish? That was funny because when he said Gerbish, I thought of Gerber, the baby food, and she was like a baby at that party, just wanted to eat chocolate and wasn't even eating the chocolate right, was getting it on her fingers and her face. She is such a good actress. So, plot hole alert. A-Train is listening. Now, does he have supersonic hearing like Homelander? How could he hear clearly what they were doing? And then on the flip side of the plot hole, you remember he ran all the way to Canada just to tell Mother's Milk what he wanted to tell him so Homelander wouldn't hear him? And Homelander has the ability to hear people's hearts if they're scared or nervous. So you mean to tell me that Homelander couldn't pick up on A-Train being standing right there and he has an elevated heart rate? It's just convenient how they just leave stuff out like that sometimes, right? But at any rate, A-Train took a picture of the assassin that's supposed to kill the president. Once again, Sister Sage looked right at him. So, just like when she went to that MAGA con rally and she knew that they were trailing her, she knew A-Train was trailing her. She looked right at him. So that proves my theory from my other videos that she 100% knew. I just couldn't see the end game. But I think the end game was she thought that Homelander was going to be impressed that she was basically leaking information and plans because she knew that A-Train would run back and tell. But as we'll get to later on in the video, hey, Homelander didn't have any F's to give about what she thought was going to impress him with her knowing that A-Train was the leader. Butcher brings Frenchie out of jail, and he reveals what he's done, that he has Samir and has Samir working on a soup virus. Obviously, Kimiko isn't happy about that. So they show Ryan, and I guess I should also say Ryan was not happy about the stuff that the puppets wanted him to sing along and say, and he objected to it and he stopped it. And then when he told Homelander, I guess he left him a voicemail on his cell phone that he was uncomfortable with what they were making him do. Homelander just blows Ryan off completely and just said, just do what they tell you to do. And that's going to come back to haunt him. So he's just going around his empty apartment that he has with Homelander, all these gifts. And then he noticed that there's a gift under the table, under the Christmas tree, that looks like it might not have came from Dad, from Homelander. And it's so genius because it says the gift is from Don T. Beacont. But Ryan was smart enough to realize, don't be a cunt. And so he knew that the gift was from Billy Butcher. And it was a picture of him with his mom when they were younger. And that's something that I know that Ryan would cherish. Once again, we got to get with a plot hole. How are people breaking into Homelander's apartment to drop number 2s in his toilet, to steal Compound V, and to put Christmas presents? Like, come on, dude. You paint this picture of Homelander being so OP, but I guess he's not so OP that people can just break into his apartment anytime they want to, undetected. So we transition. Mother's Milk gives his wife, I've never really been clear on whether she is his girlfriend or his wife, or I guess she can't be his wife because I think she got married to the white guy that was in love with Homelander. So we'll just say his girl. Gave her 10 racks and 2 tickets to Belize. I'm guessing wife is either black and Belizean or just straight Belizean. And he's doing this to protect his wife and daughter because he feels like ish is going to hit the fan once the president gets assassinated. And we meet a shapeshifter who tears off her skin. And I know the rest of y'all were like me at home watching, like, what is she doing? This is disgusting. What kind of power is this to tear off your skin as you're running away? But then when she touches the black woman And as she's going out the door, she turned into her. Then this is just like Mystique from the X-Men. She can do what Mystique does, but obviously in a much more gross and nasty way. So, as a precursor to what I just said, Mother's Milk did agree, tell his girlfriend that he would go to Belize, that he would quit the boys. And so, A-Train runs to the house and snatches up the passport. He says, "You printing out a passport instead of downloading it on your phone? What are you, 87 years old?" And he pretty much, Mother's Milk explains that nothing is ever going to change. Like, if I don't leave with my wife and kid now, this stuff with the boys versus the Supes is never going to end. And that's a pretty good point, but we all know that's just cap. We know that anytime somebody says something like that, they always end up right back in the same situation. I hope y'all agree with me on this. The Web Weaver scene was weak. I'm not even sure if Firecracker just put Web Weaver up to saying that he was the leak when he wasn't. It was really confusing. He really didn't have a connection. And then with him, crapping out his webs from his bum, as the English people would say, that was disgusting. That didn't really add anything, to the scene. And it was gross and Homelander out. And then he just grabs him and just tears him apart, Mortal Kombat style. And it was just anticlimactic. The kill wasn't even that. Like, dude, we just met Web Weaver one episode ago. And the anger from Homelander seemed displaced. It was a very confusing scene. I'm hoping I'm not the only one that felt that way. That scene was just useless, and the kill was useless. So they finally show why Kimiko is not able to talk, is that she was forced to fight with these other slaves / refugees one-on-one, human trafficking victims one-on-one, and she was told that she couldn't speak until after her match was over, her match to the death. And after she killed the girl, she went to speak and nothing came out. So she kind of psychologically lost the ability to talk. So I'm thinking just like Black Noir is talking now, I am thinking that eventually we're going to start getting some real dialogue from her. If not in episode 8, definitely in the final season, I think we're finally going to hear Kimiko talk. And that will be a credit to that actress because she's a beautiful girl and she is an amazing actress to be able to communicate so many different emotions like frustration, anger. She's communicating so many things without talking that it'd just be a just due for that actress to be able to finally talk, because she also didn't talk on Suicide Squad, so it's almost borderline racist, how they just putting her as the Asian girl who doesn't talk. They're not giving her any dimensions. Kevin opened the door, and I called him Kevin because Tilda Swinton keeps calling him Kevin. And it was kind of agonizing, but the octopus girlfriend, she knew that he was messing around with Sister Sage. She said that she could smell it on him, and that really angered him. And he says, so what? I've been messing around with her. She makes me happy. And, she's telling him the truth. She's using you. She doesn't care about you. And he doesn't want to hear that. So he broke the fish tank out of frustration, but he could have easily put her in one of the other aquariums in his apartment to save her. And he was really doubting if he wanted to do that. But he was caught. He was in a juxtaposition of, I actually care about this octopus because she actually loves me, but the outside world looks at me as a freak because I mess around with octopus. So letting her die allows him to be committed to being a human, even though he really doesn't have any joy or any feeling of acceptance as a human. So very very good acting between Huey and Newman. Their friendship feels so genuine to me, almost to the point that, don't tell me it's just me, it's almost to the point that I thought that they were gonna kiss, because I borderline want to say that Newman loves Huey. If it's possible for a man and woman to love each other platonically, just the look on her eyes and the hurt. And then he even calls her Vicky. You know, she's Victoria. Everybody calls her Victoria or Newman. He calls her Vicky. He says, Vicky, you don't have to do this. And she just looks at him with those eyes like, I love you, but I do have to do this. And she said, I'm sorry about what happened to your dad. You know, so I just love seeing them together. Even when he tried to kill her, it's like, oh man, this dress is expensive, man. I gotta be on the air in a half hour. You know, like, she didn't even snap at him for trying to throw acid on her and kill her. Because she's just so OP, she knows that she can't die that way. So, I, like the rest of you, have been complaining about the lack of action in this season. So when Black Noir and the Deep show up to the headquarters to fight, that was some amazing action. And then Noir said something, and Starlighter was like, he can talk? And then he was flying in the air, and he said he can fly? So Black Noir just brings so much comedy to this show. And then, man, I was laughing so hard. Just like I was cracking up when Homelander was like, Jesus Christ, he's falling asleep. Noir just had his narcolepsy, he just fell asleep during the fight. And that was so awesome. And I think it was also good to see, unlike Aquaman, they never really showed us anything with him, that he can do anything besides talk to the fishes and control the sea. You see the Deep is super strong when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. And they were all kind of mad at A-Train when he showed up. But it was like when all of them on the good side and the bad side, on the boys and the Seven, is saying, A-Train, what are you doing here? It was kind of satisfying in terms of the writing, that they both were like, oh, you're the leak? You know what I mean? So that was awesome that they all figured that out. Because, you know, at this point, now A-Train is committed now. Because you know that Noir and the Deep are going to go back to Homelander and tell him. And then, man, Anthony, oh my goodness, he's such a good actor. He was like legitimately crying. Like, A-Train? After all I've done for him? You know? And then Firecracker wanted to support him and nurture him with her breasts and her milk. Says, is there anything I can do to make you feel better? And the camera focuses in on her boobs. And then for one split second, his face was like, And he was like, just get the F out. Oh, but fired my baby, man. Ironically, she didn't look as sad when she got fired as she did when she came to that meeting and they were doing it without her. But he just belittled my Sage. Just go back to your pitiful apartment in Detroit and just die alone. And he said, you firing me? He says, you better be lucky I'm not sending you home in a package or in a container or in a box. You know, he said something, it wasn't a casket, but I guess he was saying he could have ripped her limb from limb and sent her back that way. And she said something that there's one person who he can't defeat. And good luck, because you can't do that without me. And I don't know if she was talking about Edgar, Stan Edgar. I don't know if she was talking about Soulja Boy. But it's kind of interesting because, like, where did she pull that out of her? Nice, plump, attractive, you know what? Where did she get that from? So now we got the final scene. Final scene is Samir is smart enough to jab Kimiko with the virus. And the reason this was genius is because any other member of the boys would have just killed him on the spot for doing it. But he knows how much Frenchie loves Kimiko. So he knew that he was going to turn into boyfriend, husband / nurturer, whatever their relationship is. He was going to do whatever he could to save his baby. And so he just sawed that leg off. It was like that Scary Movie Part 4 when Dr. Phil when Shaq told Dr. Phil we got to saw our leg off. Dr. Phil was like, But they do that. They preserve the leg in ice so that they can sample it. And that wasn't the last scene. I just didn't put the last scene in my notes. Huey is at home with his girl, which he thinks is his girl. And his girl tells him, hey, I put the suit back on. Don't tell me you didn't fantasize about this. And then she gives him some. And then she walks away from the bed naked. And she grabs some secret stuff that they need. And then you see her face shapeshift a little bit. And then you see that Starlighter has been chained up. And then it ends there. So, oh my God, I've been talking y'all ear off for 23 minutes. Well, good luck with this on my end. If y'all watch all 23 minutes, I know y'all dedicated to my channel. This is a long video, man. We out of here. Second to the last episode, and can't wait to see what they do for the season finale next week. If I could just turn this off. Well, hold on. Oh, there we go.